Hey, everybody. We are about to engage in an activity whereby we check our credit history against our transcript and figure out our graduation plan. I'm going to do this as simply and quickly as possible, but inevitably it's going to be a bit long and maybe a little boring. So I need you to really flex your attention muscle right now, or prepare yourself to do something that takes a bit of continued attention because this is super important. You've probably heard people talking about doing a credit check with me. I may have done one with you when you enrolled at JSC to give you a picture of where you are and what you need to do to graduate. Now, this to me makes real your path to graduation. After this, you will have questions about your future schedules, testing. I need this many credits to get to graduation, but there's only this many out there to be had. So what am I going to do? That is the goal, actually, of this activity, is to make you directly aware of where you stand and what you need to do, so that and you'll have questions. Probably. So bear with me over the next class period. Today, I think we're going to take all of third block to do this activity, and then fourth block will be cat time. So know that relief is coming, fourth block, and then it's the weekend, and then we got one more last week, a fun week of school, and then another break. So here we go. All right, you all should have 3 things right now, including your transcript, which is a record of all the classes you've ever taken in high school. You should have a credit check sheet that looks something like this. It's got 2 sides. It's got some color coding on it. And then lastly, you have a worksheet that you're going to fill out according to these 2 things. So I'm going to take these one at a time here in just a minute. I'm actually going to use Ms. Keivel's document camera to kind of show you how we're going to mark these up. But first, I just want to go through a general document with a series of statements that are all true about how credits work, because in my experience, high school students are not terribly familiar with how one works towards graduation. You kind of go to class, you assume that records are getting kept and that you're meeting requirements and someone else is taking care of it. And eventually at the end, they'll say, hey, you're done, cool. Or some people don't even have that much awareness about it. They think they're just putting in time in high school, and when that time is over, you graduate. That is not how it works. We are on a credit acquisition plan, and there are lots of specific requirements about credits that we need to get to a point where, in our case, the state of Missouri and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education says you, according to our measures, have met the mark and you are a high school graduate. So we are beholden to them. The state, they are kind of the arbiters of when one graduates. And so this will kind of explain how that works just a bit. Now, this will serve you going forward. If you do go to college, a very similar system happens there, whereby one gets so many credits for so many classes, and oftentimes it's hours. It's kind of a different accounting system, but it's very, very similar. So first we'll start with that guide sheet, and then we'll move on to these individual documents and how to deal with them. So here we go. All right, so here we have our credit check sheet guide, and I need you to follow very closely along with me, like I said. Up here, there's some links into the NHS course catalog. That will show you basically what credits belong in what subject area, in case you have any questions about that. There's a video tutorial like this one, but from last year. I've learned a little bit since then, and also added an element like the worksheet that we're going to do. So there is that for reference, but when this video is done, it will be linked here on the video tutorial too. There is also the template to the credit check sheet, unless you might need that for some reason, but you should already have one started for you in your hands right now. So on that sheet, there are 25 lines on the sheet, and historically you have needed 25 credits to graduate. Now, in pandemic time, we got that reduced to 24, and that still holds for us. I got the board to approve that this year too. I have left the 25th line on the sheet because I'm not sure if that will last forever, but on your sheet, I have probably blacked out the final elective line of credits, and that represents the fact that you don't need that one right now. I'll put it back in the future if we have to have 25 again. But right now, 24 is the total number of credits that you need to graduate. Each one of your classes is worth a half a credit. So a full bar, horizontal bar across your sheet represents 1 credit. So you'll see, counting from top to bottom, there should be 24 star 25. That's the total number of credits that you need. But you also need subject area requirements like, i.e. means for example, you need 4 English credits. You need 3 math credits, 3 science, 3 social studies, 2 PE, 1 art, 1 practical art. And then there are also even more specific particular class requirements, like you have to take algebra twice for a total of 1.0 credits, biology twice for the same, American history the same, government the same, personal finance once for a half a credit, health for half a credit. On your credit check sheets, those individual courses are highlighted in yellow. So you've got 24 total, 4 math blocked up, or 4 English blocked up at the top, 3 math below that. Within the math, you'll see algebra highlighted twice in the first bar there. So this sheet really should represent all the things that you have to do in as simple a way as I could figure out. So once a class is complete and on the books, it will be coded green, and that way we know it is on, those credits are accounted for, they're done. If they're red, that means they're currently on hold, and there won't be as many of these right now as there have been in the past because we've kind of reduced the number of things that we hold credits for, but there are still some of those held here and there. Classes you're currently in may be plotted or written on your sheet, but they won't be any color at all because they are still current. They have to be completed successfully before we can code them green and know that they're done. Okay, now, interpreting codes. At the beginning of every little cell that's on your sheet, there will be a 4-digit code that, and really what it tells you is what year of school that was completed. So for instance, 11 is your junior year. If it says 11T3, that would be 3rd term. I also, in parentheses, specify where that credit was earned. If it's at NHS or some other high school, typically those schools run on semesters, and you will see an S. So there'll be an S1 or an S2. Semester in German literally means a period of half a year. And so that's what a semester is. We run on terms because our quarters are actually terms, so we don't call them semesters because that would be a misnomer. So if you see a T, that means that was probably, and you can go look in parentheses and see that it was completed at JSC because it was in T3. And so, yeah, so all the elements here, a 0.5 means the number of credits, grade level, which term, which class, and then where it was completed. So there's that. Some general wisdom to know. In a typical term, a student earns on average 2.0 credits worth 5.5 credits apiece, a half. So here at JSC, in any given quarter, you should have 2.0 credits because you have 4 classes times a half. Half of 4 is 2. Now, that means, and again, on average, there are exceptions to this, so we'll get to later. There are 8 credits potentially available in a 4-term school year. That's just 4 times 2. Now, there are some other ways to get credits, though. Like, if you need 8.5 credits this year to graduate, and there's only 8 available, well, we could regain that by either doing a credit recovery course. If you've failed a course in the past, we can do what's called a credit recovery, take it again, and actually acquire potentially a whole credit, a half credit for the previous course that we failed, and a half credit for our work this term. So I will occasionally arrange those for students who need them. There are also VLC classes that we can do in addition to your current schedule. So we could give you a 5th block. We won't usually do this for new students. because we want you to establish some record of success and kind of know the ropes around here before we pile more on top of you. There is also summer school, where you can take 2 courses for a total of 1.0 credits, and sometimes I may ask you to do that even as a prerequisite for, say, a 5th VLC block. I need you to maybe show some initiative and use that availability in the summertime. So there are ways, this is the typical sort of 2 credits per term for 8 for the year, but there are ways to get some more if need be. But it's extra work and it's complicated and it's risky. So really, we kind of want to rely for the most part on the 8 credit per year system. CTEC students, there are some things that are specific for you. While you are attending CTEC, you're there for half of the day. You will earn at CTEC the same number of credits that you would have here on campus, except instead of having 2 classes in the morning, you have your schedule out there for a total of 1 credit per term, but it's a 2-term semester out there. So you have 2.0 potential credits for every semester. Those are not administered, or they're not put on your transcript. They're not done until the end of the semester at NHS or Crowder. So what that means is they will only report to us and show up on our transcripts at the end of terms 2 and 4. Now, the end of term 2 is coming up next week. So, those of you who are in Crowder, what the work you've done since August will culminate next Friday, and that's when you will, if you pass your courses, be administered your 2.0 credits from Crowder. Now, those are elective credits, but they also can be embedded. This is a little confusing. We'll talk individually about this, but if you get down to the wire and you are not going to make your English or math requirements, we can embed up to 1.0 math and 1.0 English credits. And all that really means is we can count elective credit as an English credit. You still have to have the 24 total. This was confusing to me when I started kind of working with it. If you're confused, don't worry, I'll work with you individually. It's really a subject area exemption. Because you're at Crowder so much, you don't have time to squeeze in as many English or as many math, and you do some English and math out there, so we've kind of got a way to account for that. Okay, we are now going to move on to the individual worksheets. We've got some general wisdom here, and the overview of what we're doing, so let's get into the weeds. All right, the first thing we've got to look at here is an official Neosho transcript. Now, what a transcript is just a record of all the classes you've ever taken, and there's also some other information here, so we're going to kind of go around and just sort of break it up into sections. So first of all, there's my identifying information. So this fictional student is me, Mr. Sheffield, and it's got all my info there. I've also got, this section right here. This list is where my history of classes is recorded. So you can see here, we've got the school year, the school that I went to, my grade level, the course, the grade I got, the number of credits that were earned. We're going to come back to this in a minute because this is really the beef of what we're doing today. But you'll also see over here in the bottom right, we've got our testing history. So EOC tests, CPR, Missouri Constitution, all those things are graduation requirements. ACT scores are not a requirement, but they're there. There's also maybe a civics test we have to take now too that will make its way on here as well. Up here, we've got some stats like my GPA or grade point average. On the Carnegie scale, you get a 4 for an A, a 3 for a B, a 2 for a C, and a 1 for a D, but not here because Ds don't count for credit. You got to have above a 70. But an average of those will give you your GPA. So a 4.0 means you've never had anything but an A. A 2.273 means on average I get a little better than a C. And then there's my total number of credits earned, which eventually has to get to 24 right now. It used to be 25. So that's kind of a breakdown of the transcript. Now let's move on. The second thing is my own personal credit check sheet, which really is an accounting of all these classes, but plotted here in subject areas, which we'll go over in just a minute. You can see down here at the bottom, this one I've just put X's through because that's the 25th line. So this elective requirement right now is actually 7, not 8. Okay, and then lastly, we have this worksheet that we're going to go through. This is to guide you through your credit check sheet. We're going to do that last. Okay, first thing we're doing. Back to the transcript. We're going to do a little very basic arithmetic because, frankly, friends, you shouldn't trust other people. I'm a bit of a cynic, so I don't trust them at all. But just for even basic calculations, let's make sure before we get started on this verification that even the basic math is right. So I have 15.5 credits. Now times 2, that is 31. Now, why am I multiplying that times 2? Because I want to go over here and count how many classes I've gotten credit for, and since they're all a half credit apiece, there should be 31 half credits on this sheet. Now, something you'll notice is that if I got an F in a class, like this one, my credit is 0. That's because although there was potentially a half credit to earn, I didn't get it because I failed the course. So the first thing I'm going to do on my credit sheet just to mark it up is go through and mark out any Fs for which I got 0 credits. Okay, is that it? Everything else should be a half credit, and I think it is, and there should be 31 of them, so I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. That's what I wanted. So good. I've got the right number of half credits on here. Now, what I'm going to do now is take this sheet and this sheet, and I'm going to make sure that for every one course down here, there is one course up here. So we're just taking first semester, 9th grade year. I took English 1 honors. So I'll go up here. Okay, English 1 honors. Now the way I want you to account for this is to just put an X right there. So we know we've got it accounted for, and we're going to go right here and mark it out. Okay, secondly, History of America 1 honors. So I go down to Social Studies. There's 9 S1 History of America 1 honors. So I'll put an X right there, and I will mark this out. 3, Geometry. That's math. 9 S1, Geometry. There it is. It wasn't the first one, but it's in there. So I'm going to put an X right there, and I tell you what, for the purposes of visibility in this exercise, I will just do it with a Sharpie. Okay, the geometry, now I'm going to mark it out down here. Physical Science, 9 S1, Physical Science, there it is. I mark it out down here, one at a time. Art 1, there's 9 S1, Art 1. I will mark it out here. Ag Science, 9 S1, that's a practical art. I only need one of those in addition to personal finance. Now we'll come down here and mark that out. And then PE Girls, there's 9 S1, PE Girls. Right there. I really enjoyed girls PE my freshman year as Mr. Sheffield. Okay, so now we have accounted for all of freshman year, semester 1. I like to just go ahead and put now a diagonal line, kind of like a tally mark, to let me know I'm done with this term. There should be no more 9 S1s on this sheet anywhere. As far as I know, there are not. But now if I go through semester 2 of 9th grade year, semester 1 and 2 of 10th grade year, and then term 1 of JSC, I should have X's on every green box here, and all of these should be marked out. And then if I go over here and count the total number of green lines, 1, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5, 6, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, 12.5, 13.5, 14.5, 15.5. 15.5 is what I have here. 15.5 is what I have here. I have verified, and I am skipping ahead because of course I would have done all this, but I will have verified that my credit sheet is correct, and then I can see that, I'm currently in 11 T2 English Fry, and so after that I will only need 2 more English credits to fulfill my requirements in English. After this semester in math, I'll be done with math because this is the last one I have to do. Same for science. I'm already done with social studies and art and practical arts. I still need a couple of PE classes, and then it's down to electives. And so this gives me a real clear picture of what I need to do to graduate. Now, let's push this transcript aside and let's use this worksheet. And you'll see exactly what I mean here by walking you through the credit check sheet, because it's first going to ask me, just as a general knowledge check, how many credits is a single class worth? Well, 0.5. Now, if you were in college or something, there might be a lab that's worth more than a typical class or, whatever. But in high school, for the most part, except for C-Tech, every class is worth 0.5. How many total credits do I currently have? Well, as we just said, 15.5, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, how many English credits do I have? 1, 2.5. 2.5. How many do I still need? 1.5. I'm including the one I'm in currently. How many English credits am I currently enrolled in? 0.5. That one right there for 0.5. Okay, so that tells me I have 2.5 English credits. I still need 1.5, but I'm currently enrolled in half. So after this semester, I'll just need 1. What about math? Well, I've got, again, 2.5. How many do I still need? 0.5. Well, how many am I enrolled in? 0.5. So I'll be done with that after this term. So we'll do this for every subject area. And that will then tell us how many credits, including elective ones, we still need before graduation. Okay. On the other side of this sheet, we have required courses. So these are the ones highlighted in yellow. And algebra is required twice, so it's on here twice. And because I've taken it twice, my 10th grade year in term 3 and 4, I can check this one and this one. How about biology? Yep, taken it twice. Check, check. American history? Twice. Check, check. What about government? Yep, check, check. Personal finance? Got it done. It's green. And health? That's green as well. I have met all of my individual required course requirements. Okay, EOC testing is part 3. That is on the back of the credit check sheet. So here we have a box for EOC testing. I have taken English 2, biology, and government, but I still need algebra. So on my sheet, I will check off everything but algebra. And I'll probably take that in the spring, in May, when testing happens again. And then other requirements, that's right here and right here. Mo Constitution test, I took that on 1/22 of 20, so I can mark that. U.S. Constitution, I took on 4/18 of 20, so I can mark that. My civics exam, I took on 2/4, so I can mark that. And then CPR training, I've yet to do, so that one remains open. Now, what is my projected graduation date? Well, this is where we're going to go down here. And since I currently have 15.5 credits, that's actually marked on my sheet already because I've done my research. At the end of term 2, I should, with an additional 2 credits, have 17.5. and then 19.5, and then 21.5 at the end of this year. Now, what do I need to graduate? 24. What's 24 minus 21.5? Well, it's 2.5. So I still need 2.5 credits to graduate after this year. So I know that in next term 1 of next year, and also right now this says 2021, that may be moved up here on your sheet if you're new, because this person, I, was here last year. But anyhow, we may need to adjust that. So then you'd have this year, next year. But if there was another next year down here, then term 1, I would potentially have 23.5. That is half a credit short of graduation. So that tells me, for instance, that I could take 1 summer school class this summer. And then I would get to 24 in term 1 of next year. And so that informs me of what I need to do. Now, I might also say, hey, Mr. Sheffield, I really could use a half a credit, and I can't take summer school because I'm working at the lake this summer. I don't know what you're doing. But I could really use a VLC class, an extra one here in term 4 at the end of this year. So I'll be in a position to graduate in October of 21. So anyhow, that is how you will complete this last question. And so I will say my projected graduation date is October of 21. And then but the notes are that I need 0.5 credits in Sumerian, summer, those are M's, school, or a VLC class between now and then. Another option is, now that it's occurring to me, on my transcript, I know in the past I did have a couple of F's. There's that one. And that one right there. So I could potentially take English or algebra for credit recovery. Or because remember, those can be worth 1.0 classes. So if one of my 4 classes was worth double, I could actually still get to 24 in October of 21 if I had a credit recovery. So I've really got 3 options here: summer school, VLC, or credit recovery if I want to graduate in October of 21. So I hope that after this process, it's clear why we're doing this and what this sheet does and how it makes sense of this. And really just kind of lets you know where you stand in terms of your high school credits and graduation.